Hi, I'm Amy Romeo and welcome to my Faux Falloween Crafting Event where I'm sharing a new fall or Halloween Cricut faux leather craft every day for 10 days. Today in this video, I'll be showing you how to make these pretty fall and Halloween stud and dangle earrings. So these have a little bit of a different topper here. Instead of a traditional earring hook, this is a bezel set stud finding. This is a 12mm size, and then I have what's called a druzy cabochon inside. Now this is completely optional. You could make these earrings and just attach regular earring hooks if you would like, but I wanted to show you how you can take some earrings and make them sort of fun. So I have a fall leaf design, a layered fall leaf design, and then I have a little ghost in a frame design. So both of these are going to cut from faux leather for the bottom layers, and then heat transfer vinyl is applied on top. So I'm going to be making these with my Cricut Maker, but you can use any of the current Cricut machines because they all cut faux leather using the standard fine point blade. I'll have links to all of these supplies and materials for you, but basically whichever design you choose, you'll want to have some faux leather colors. Smooth faux leather is better for this project because we will be applying heat transfer vinyl on top. So for the fall leaves, I just have two browns or rust colors, and then I'm going to make the frame purple in this video, so you'll be able to see a different colorway. So just some heat transfer vinyl and faux leather of your choice. Then we'll also need a Easy Press Mini or some kind of a heat press to press our vinyl onto the faux leather. You'll also want a heat pressing pad, a cover sheet of some kind to protect your surface, a weeding tool. You can use a pin pen or a weeding hook. I always like having some small curved scissors on hand. To put the earrings together, you'll need some flat nose jewelry making pliers and then some jump rings. I like a 6mm size for the smaller little connections, and then an 8 or a 10mm jump ring for the larger fall leaf. And then again, as I mentioned, if you want to use regular earring hooks, you certainly can. Now let me show you something important about these little bezel set stud findings. So these are 12mm size. You'll find them in lots of different sizes on Amazon, for example. 12mm is the most common. And here, this is the one that I'm going to be using. Again, I'll link to this for you. So it's got kind of a tray that you can fit something inside of. And then what I want you to notice is the little loop down here at the bottom, the way the loop is situated. This loop is facing forward, and that's really important for making our earrings hang straight. Sometimes you'll find them that look like this, where the loop is sideways, and you don't want that. You want the one where the loop is facing forward, so we can use one jump ring to connect it to our earring, and it'll hang straight. Again, just check the links for these. Now what I'll be putting inside these, as I mentioned, they're called druzy cabochons. They're just little rounded, half round pieces. They're flat on the back. They fit exactly inside. You could put a little glue. These come in all different colors. But I'll also give you in the SVG a little 12mm circle that you can cut from faux leather if you'd rather just pop faux leather in here, or again, skip this all together and use a regular earring hook. Okay, so that's all for the tools and materials. Let me show you how to get the SVG for this project, and then we'll hop into Cricut Design Space. To get the SVG for this and all of the daily event projects, visit the event page at amyromeo.com/Falloween24 or click the link in the description. You'll also see the option to upgrade to the event VIP pass and get instant access to all of the daily event projects, bonus files, and more. Starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG file is for this project. Click on it to select it and then click Open. You'll see a preview of the two designs. Click Continue and then Upload. And then both of these designs will appear on your canvas. So normally I would suggest that you choose the one that you want to make and then hide or delete the other one, but I'm going to cut both of these for you in this demonstration just so I can show you how they both are assembled. So the first thing I want to do is ungroup them, and you'll need to ungroup them if you did want to, for example, select one and be able to delete it or hide it. But I've ungrouped them so that I can just show you how these are set up. Now first, at the top we have those little 12mm circles. If you wanted to cut those from faux leather instead of using the druzy cabochon, you can absolutely do that. and I've made them the same color as one of the faux leather layers, but you can cut them from the same color or a different color if you'd like. Now here on the little fall leaves, let me just separate out. There's 4 little layers here, and these veins will cut from the heat transfer vinyl of your choice. I'm using foil iron-on, and then I'll use 2 different solid colors of brown that are fall colors. And for here, for the little ghost will cut from a white faux leather. This will cut from black heat transfer vinyl. This little top layer for the frame, also heat transfer vinyl, I'm going to use some gold foil iron-on. And then this one back here, you'll cut from the faux leather of your choice. So I don't think you need to resize these too much. I've sized them appropriately. And here you can see I've got those little pre-cut earring holes for you to make it easy to connect the ghost to the frame in this project. Okay, so let's go ahead and click the Make It button. We're cutting our materials on a mat. And the first thing we need to do in Design Space is go through and toggle the mirror button on for every single mat. And that's because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl cut in reverse. So I always like to do this first so I don't forget or miss any mats. Once you've mirrored all of your mats, what I like to do is go through and just drag my shapes apart from each other and away from the edges just a little bit. This helps when you're cutting. Now here I have those little 12mm circles here that I'll cut them out, but I'm going to show you how to use the druzy cabochon. Actually, I think what I'll do is pop those right inside the little frame, and that way the frame cutout is not a wasted space. We're actually being able to cut those little 12mm circles from it, so that's helpful. Again, these we'll want to move them apart just a little bit from each other. Okay, so I've gone through, I've mirrored each mat, and I've also adjusted the shapes on the mat so that they're away from the edges and each other. So this is a faux leather mat. I always like to cut my faux leather mats first. So I'll go ahead and click continue on this one. And for all 3 faux leather mats in this project, I'm going to use the faux leather paper thin setting here. If you don't have it bookmarked as a favorite like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. If you're using your Explore Air 2 Cricut, you'll need to turn your dial to custom before you can find this setting when you search. Now, I'll use the faux leather paper thin setting with more pressure. That's really important. That's going to be another way for you to get a good cut with your Cricut. And all of the vinyl mats I will cut using the manufacturer's recommended cut setting for the particular vinyl that I'm using. So you might be using glitter heat transfer vinyl, regular heat transfer vinyl, Cricut foil iron-on, etc. So just make those material selections based on the material that you are using. Okay, so let's hop back over to my overhead camera. We're going to cut out our mats, and then I'll show you how to assemble these cute earrings. So as I mentioned, I like to cut my faux leather for my projects first. So I'm going to cut the little ghost layer now, and I trimmed a piece of white faux leather to a size just slightly larger than those little shapes that are going to cut out. I'm going to put this pretty or flat side down on my purple strong grip mat, and then I'm going to put some blue painter's tape around on all sides. And I'm going to do this for every faux leather mat in this project. Now these little pieces of tape can be just lifted up and reused over and over during this project, but this is going to help keep that faux leather firm to the mat without moving around while it's cutting. So this is my first faux leather mat. My faux leather paper thin material setting with more pressure is all ready to go. So I'll just load this into the Cricut and begin the cut. So my little ghosts have cut one time, and before I unload the mat, I want to use my sharp weeding tool. Just lift up the edge of the cut and see if it went all the way through. If it's pulling down, or if you're not able to lift it up, then you want to rerun your cut. And you can do that as many times as you need to, as long as you haven't unloaded your mat. But this one looks good, so I'm going to remove the mat. Now, if you needed to rerun it, you can just press the cut button without unloading the mat, and it will just repeat the exact same cut again. So let's remove the little ghost here from our mat. This one is stuck just a little bit here, and I'm just going to use my little curved scissors to trim it apart. There we go. Now these also have a little tiny pre-cut hole, so you'll want to use something sharp just to poke through that little hole, and if it doesn't come all the way out, then again, you can use those little curved scissors just to trim apart the edges. If you need to punch a brand new hole from scratch, you can punch the perfect size little earring hole using a 1/16 inch hole punch. I get these on Amazon. They're less than $10, and I'll link to this for you. So I'm going to punch out my little ghosts here, punch out those earring holes. And what I'm going to do now is return to Design Space and just one by one cut out all of the mats for this project. And then we'll get back together and I'll show you how to assemble our little earrings. So I finished cutting out all of the faux leather layers and all of the vinyl layers. The little leaf layers are here. And while the layers were cutting, I was going through with my small curved scissors and just trimming up any fuzzies on the edges and also making sure to poke through all of those earring holes. I did have to punch a few with my 1/16 inch hole punch, but that's really easy to do. Then I cut all of my vinyl layers apart from each other, and I was sure to leave lots and lots of whatever the clear transfer tape border I have, I leave that on there, because if you cut too close to your shape, when you press, the outline that you cut can press into your faux leather, and you don't want that. So I have my Easy Press Mini set on the low setting. You can also use a regular Easy Press. I would set it to about 265 degrees, but if you have a small Easy Press Mini like that, it's perfect for pressing these little tiny shapes. One last thing I wanted to mention was, you may have noticed I did not put anything on the back of my faux leather before I cut it, and that's just to save time, but you could put some heat transfer vinyl on the back before you cut or after you cut. I have a YouTube video all about 4 different ways to put a back on faux leather earrings, and I'll link to that for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's do the little ghosts first. So I'm just going to put my little ghost shapes here on my heat pressing pad, and I'm going to put them next to each other so I can make sure they're symmetrical. Kind of pop their little eyes and the mouth into place. I like to arrange both of them first before I start to press, just to make sure they're going to be symmetrical. There we go. And these little guys are so little I can cover and press both of them at the same time. So I'm just going to press for about 10 seconds. Let's just peel away that clear carrier sheet. Now, if when you're peeling, the vinyl lifts up, then just pop that clear carrier sheet right back down and press again for a few more seconds. And there are the cute little ghosts. Now, if you want these to be completely flat, then place them now underneath your heat pressing pad and let them cool in a flat position. But because they are ghosts, I do like that they curl a tiny bit. It gives them a little bit of movement. So I'm going to let those little guys curl a little bit. And now I'm going to do the frame. So the frame, it's important that you identify where the 2 pre-made holes are. That's going to go up at the top. And then you'll want to find the same little part on your frame decoration where there's 2 little cutouts, and that goes on the top as well. So you'll just line up those 2 holes. Get everything else centered. Again, cover and press. Now I'm using Cricut foil iron-on, which can sort of be a little trickier to peel when I'm using it on faux leather. So I'm actually going to set that aside, let that cool before I try to peel. Let me show you what this looks like before I press. Right up there you can see the little cutouts for the 2 holes. So now I'll just swap these out. I'm actually going to put this one under here because I do want that little frame to be nice and flat. Okay, so now I'm going to, see, now I'm able to peel this. Now if after you let it cool, you try peeling and it still lifts up, then you want to place that cover sheet right back down and press some more. But that looks cute. And I do want the frame to be flat, so I'm going to pop that one under my heat pressing pad. Then we'll peel this one. There we go. Super cute. And that's just sort of that little mirror detailing. We'll let both of those cool and we'll move on to our leaves. So we've got a big leaf and a small leaf and a vein for each. So I'll just get this lined up here. And again, just cover and press. There we go. Let that cool. Okay, so we've pressed all of our little foil iron-on shapes. Our little frames are nice and flat. Now I'm just going to return to my bigger leaf here and peel away that carrier sheet. Now with the foil iron-on, you'll see that when you first press it, it's very smooth and polished on the top. If you wanted to give it a sort of textured effect where it's a little more matte and less shiny, you can just cover this with something like the Teflon sheet that has a little bit of texture. You can cover it and press it again just for a little different look. So all of our little faux leather layers have their vinyl pressed on top, and we're ready to start assembling the earrings. So I'm going to use the little circle shapes that I cut from faux leather for the leaf earrings just to show you how that looks, and then I'm going to use the druzy cabochons for the ghosts. Now you'll need some jump rings, and the leaf ones do require a slightly larger jump ring. I like at least an 8mm for these, and then the little ghosts can use a 6mm jump ring. So if you like, try to match your jump ring colors to the color of your metal hardware. So again, I'll have links to all of those for you. And the first thing I'm going to do is glue my little bezels into the stud findings to let them start to dry. You can use any super glue or really any kind of glue that you'd like. I'm just using some gel super glue, and I just need a little tiny bit here in the center. I'm going to pop that little cabochon in, and that's all that takes. We'll let that dry while we're assembling the rest of our earring parts. And the process is the same for the little faux leather circles. Just put a little glue in here. And that circle pops right in. So while that glue is drying, we'll use our little jump rings and assemble our pieces here. So let's do the little ghost first. So I'm going to open up a 6mm jump ring with my flat nose pliers. Just open that up. And then we're going to connect it to the little ghost. And then we're going to connect the ghost to our little frame on the bottom hole. So there's two holes here, one at the top, one at the bottom. Connect it to the bottom hole. And close that little jump ring back up. And that lets your little ghost kind of move around there in the frame, which is pretty cute. There we go. And now I'll just use one more 6mm jump ring for each and attach the little frame to our bezel setting. And there we go. Isn't that cute? Now the little leaves are even easier. We're just going to use that larger jump ring, around 8mm in size. The reason we need a larger one is because the gap between the holes here, the little hole here is a little further away from the top of the leaf. That's to keep the leaf from tearing, that little hole from ripping. So we do need a little larger jump ring to allow for some movement. So I'm just stacking the little leaves on top of each other, just like that. And attaching our little bezel setting. Again, if you want to use regular earring hooks, you absolutely can. But I think these are super cute. There we go. Okay. So here, let's take another look at both of the earrings that I created. You could see the differences when you use the purple or the gold. It's completely up to you. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I can't wait to see your fall and Halloween earrings. Remember, to get this and all of the SVG files for the Faux Falloween Crafting Event, visit amyromeo.com/Falloween24. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.